Backstory. My mother-in-law did not want my husband and I getting married when we were planning to, saying she thought we were too young. We were 23 and 24, and that they also didn't have the finances to help us pay for the wedding. I told her we didn't need their money and would be paying for it all ourselves. My family also ended up helping, though. She also said she was offended that her son hadn't asked her for permission prior to asking me to marry him, so she said he did everything all wrong. Mill and Sil even came over to my parents' house to try to convince them to also go against our wishes on getting married. Sil didn't speak, but was only there to be nosy and give dirty looks to my parents and I. Mill was disappointed in the end when she realized her plan failed, and my parents stated they would still be fully supporting us despite her visit. Afterwards, Maya Sil also texted me and tried to convince me to postpone the wedding until her mother approved, saying that my MIL was so upset and hurt by our decisions. I told my mother-in-law I was sorry she was not happy about it, but that we would not be canceling or postponing the wedding. Husband had also told her the same already. From that moment on, both she and Maya Sil began saying I was so rude and selfish. I also later found texts on my husband's phone where Maya Sil called me a list of curse names. She then proceeded to block me off all her social media and stopped speaking to me. As our wedding planning continued, my mother-in-law got word that my dad was going to be our wedding officiant, and she was completely livid. I told her my husband and I had made that choice together, and he equally wanted my dad to be the one to marry us. She then said she wanted to bring in her own officiant to marry us. I initially wanted to say no, but ended up giving in. I told her to let me know when she was planning to meet with the officiant she chose so that I could come along and meet them as well. To my surprise, she asked, "And why do you need to come? Aren't I allowed to pick who I want?" I said, "Yes, but I need to approve of them because I'm the bride." Well, a week before the wedding, I still hadn't gotten word back from her about the officiant. I gave her a call and got not answer. Several texts, and also no answer. She responded 4 days before the wedding, saying she was so busy getting herself ready and getting her nails done. I was frustrated and told her it was 4 days before the wedding, and I still had no details about the officiant and that I needed to know what scheduling they would be following. Once again, I was called rude by both her and my SIL. I guess she hadn't found anyone, because at the end, she told me to just let my dad be the officiant as planned. Well, the day finally came, and both my mother-in-law and sister-in-law never gave a penny of contribution for the wedding, nor did they offer to help in any way, despite knowing we had no professional wedding decorators and that just a few of my family members would be setting up the decorations themselves, including my parents. My MIL also made sure to give me nothing but dirty looks as my father walked me down the aisle. SIL also attended but never turned in my direction and never spoke a word to me the whole night. When it came time for my first dance with my husband, only my family cheered for us. Same with when I had my dance with my father. The silence from their table was so loud. But of course, when it was time for the mother-son dance, my Sil and her sister made sure to clap and cheer extra loud for her mother. And that's the story of all the drama that went down at my wedding thanks to my in-laws. Unforgettable times for sure. Quite frankly, I am surprised your husband even bothered with the mother-son dance. I would have just said, well, you didn't want to be here, so I planned for you not to, and just danced off with my new spouse. This happened to one of my sisters. Her Mill wanted to give a reading during the ceremony and followed her Bible verse with a long, unhinged speech, crying the whole time about not wanting her son to marry my sister. Pure awkwardness. Priest resumed the ceremony like, "So, anyway, I hope in a speech either you or your husband made sure to make a big deal of thanking your family and friends for all the support and help they gave to the planning and day of the wedding, making a point of excluding your mother-in-law and sister-in-law. And if anyone asks why your in-laws weren't mentioned, tell them the truth.